Hey there everybody, Sage Popham here, founder of the School of Evolutionary Herbalism. And I got a question recently from a student asking about using herbs to address social anxiety. And this is something that I've worked with a lot of folks. It's surprisingly common how many people feel really awkward and nervous and anxious when they get around a lot of other people. And we found herbal medicine to just be incredibly effective at helping people to not only kind of acutely address reducing that nervousness and anxiety in social situations, but also helping people kind of get down a little deeper to what that root cause is in regards to why do they feel nervous around other people? Is it a lack of confidence? Is it a lack of sense of self? Is it not just knowing what to say? Is there some sort of trauma from the past around that? And this is something that I feel like is really important because as humans, we are social beings to a certain degree. I don't believe we are necessarily designed to live in 100% isolation, and there is something to relating and connecting to other people, opening to other people, letting people into your heart, to have that human-to-human connection that I think is really important for us to feel healthy. And so this post is all about talking about some herbal categories, some specific plants, some ways you can work with people that experience social anxiety, and hopefully help guide you into making some really good remedy selections and helping people out with this very common experience that people have. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button below. Leave me a comment. It does help to boost the channel so more people can be aware of what we're sharing here at the School of Evolutionary Herbalism. Thanks so much for checking this video out, and I hope you learned something good here. All right, question number 2 here, coming from Beth Bard in Materia Medica Monthly. Have you ever worked with plants successfully in the treatment of social anxiety? Yeah, this is a great question, Beth. Thanks for asking it. This is something that a lot of people struggle with, and there's absolutely some remedies that we can use to help people out with anxiety in general, right? I mean, herbs are just, there's a lot of really great herbs that are excellent for supporting people with anxiety type struggles. And then specifically, there's a few remedies that I've found to be very nice and specific for social anxiety in particular. So kind of generally speaking, on a big picture level, when we're looking at treating anxiety, the main class of herbs that I use are the nervines. So, and I would say that's probably what most herbalists use. I'm not unique in that regard. Specifically here though, the nervine sedatives and the nervine trophorestoratives are where I really like to focus. So the nervine sedatives are going to be your milder, gentler, calming agents that will help to very gently settle and relax a kind of wound up, tight, overstimulated nervous system. But they do it gently enough so that they typically will not make one feel overly tired, groggy, sleepy, which is great because oftentimes social anxiety is, things happening during the day, right? And you don't want to feel too tired. So some of my favorites here would be, as we were mentioning in an earlier question, chamomile is really great there. Lemon balm is excellent. Blue Vervain is one that I have used pretty consistently here. Blue Vervain is very nice for people that are quite driven and kind of type A, hot, intense, driven type individuals. So that's kind of some of the specific stuff. Chamomile has a specific indication of, my teacher Matthew Wood always referred to it as babies of any age, like adults that kind of act childish. They're really kind of like fussy in a way. And so catnip, Nepeta cataria would be another remedy here. But more specifically, the two remedies that really come to mind here that are, I find, a little more specific for social anxiety. One is Kavakava, or Piper Methysticum. And this is a plant that is, I would say, a little bit stronger in the nervine category. It does get into the nervine hypnotic category. So, if you take enough of it, it can make you feel a little bit, maybe a little tired or a little dopey, but in oftentimes a pretty pleasant way for most people. And, one of the things about Kavakava is that traditionally, this plant was used very much so in a social context, right? In the Pacific Islands where it's from what I've been told, kava is used in very much so social context as a way for people to relax and socialize and converse and just have nice, relaxed, engaging moments. And of course, there's, sure, traditional ceremonial use of the herb. But this is a very nice nervine, calming sedative. And in my experience with kava, it helps you feel relaxed within yourself. And I think that's one of the things about social anxiety is that oftentimes what I've noticed with people with social anxiety is oftentimes there's a couple things going on there. One, sometimes people just are not comfortable within themselves. So there's like a lack of confidence. There's a lack of kind of sense of self. And so when they're around other people, it's difficult for them to kind of break out of that shell. And so they kind of retreat within themselves and they're like, I don't know what to say, or I don't know how to be, or I don't know what to do. And there's kind of this internalization that happens and kind of retreating within one's self. Kind of this constriction that happens, and then they get really nervous and anxious. And that really kind of comes down, I think, more to a deeper level of kind of inner work that needs to be done there in terms of, why don't you feel confident in yourself? And are there things that happened in your life that kind of took that power away, that strength of character and self? And how can healing be done to kind of address that? And then the other side of it would be people that are very just empathetic or very sensitive, like the nervous system is really kind of just really open, right? So they just like feel other people's feelings, or people come up and it's just like, whoa, it's just intense. Like they're around a lot of people, especially in group settings, and there's just so much that they feel and that they sense that it just kind of overwhelms them. So I find kava to be really great for that first one. And then I find the nervine sedatives are really great for that second one. And then for the people that are very sensitive, I find the trophorestoratives are really great. I feel like I'm always talking about nervine trophorestoratives, but they're just so good. Again, milky oats, Avena sativa, Scutellaria lateriflora or skullcap, Hypericum or St. John's wort can be beneficial here. Ashwagandha or Withania somnifera can be very good here for the people that are like overly sensitive, right? Those are some really great things to consider. And then the other remedy, so Kavakava I find specific for social stuff. And then the other remedy that I don't talk about very much, but I have found to be really great here is actually Damiana or Turnera diffusa. And Damiana is a remedy that's oftentimes described or defined as an aphrodisiac, which is, true to an extent. I think the term aphrodisiac is sometimes a little bit misunderstood. But really, Damiana is a nervine, right? This is an herb that is going through the nervous system and working. I find Damiana actually penetrates quite deep into the nervous system. I oftentimes formulate it in non-aphrodisiac formulas to help deliver other herbs into the nervous system. And the reason for that being is Damiana has a very floral, very aromatic flavor to it. And when you take it, it's almost it almost reminds me of like those fireworks that kind of burst out like that. Like that's the way I always feel Damiana in my body is it's like it bursts out and it ripples out into the nervous system. And in that way, I find it pushes other herbs up and out so that they can move deeper into the nervous system. And so Damiana is a really great remedy because it kind of uplifts you a little bit. It opens you up a little bit. I find it a little more specific for the people that, for the social anxiety, they tend to kind of clam up and close up and turn inward. So Damiana is a really great remedy to consider here. So the nervine tropha restoratives, the nervine sedatives, Kava and Damiana I find are nice specifics. And then I think another way to get a little more specific with your remedy selection is to ask people, when they feel social anxiety, where do they experience it? And, generally speaking, we have kind of central areas in the body where the central nervous system is, there's large conglomerations of neural tissue, right? And the way I tend to think of it is the head, the heart, and the gut. And people that get social anxiety, or any anxiety really, sometimes people experience it in different ways. Some people, it really affects their gut and they get really nauseous, or they just lose their appetite, or they get really hungry. Other people get social anxiety and their heart starts racing, or they get a palpitation, or they get really sweaty and kind of, it's more in their heart area. And then some people, their minds just race, they get really spaced out, or they get really ungrounded, they're kind of have a hard time forming sentences, and their mind gets more overwhelmed. And so I think that's another good consideration, because different nervines tend to influence different areas. So for example, in the heart region, I really like to use things like lemon balm, things like motherwort or Leonoris cardiaca. And the third one that I really like in the heart there is linden flower or Tilia europea. I've also found hawthorn flower, specifically hawthorn flower, to be very good for that nervous heart. In the gut, we've got our bitter remedies there. Things like hops, things like skullcap, things like vervain are really great. And then you also have your aromatic nervines that are more carminative in action, and that would be the chamomile's there too. Catnip is there. Lavender is really nice there. Anything that's really aromatic generally will help to a degree there. And then in the mind, I really love passion flower is really excellent there for that kind of looping, scattered mind. Skullcap, really great for when there's like that oversensitivity and mental overwhelm that happens. So passion flower I find is more like looping thoughts or kind of scattered. And then skullcap is more just the overwhelmed mind, and it kind of like caps the skull, literally, like kind of closes this energy down so that it's the energy can move down a little bit easier. And then the other one that I really like for the mind also is lavender. Lavender is really, really nice for calming the mind, focusing the mind. It is a really, really excellent remedy there. So hopefully that gives you some options and some things to consider and some differentials and a way of working with people with social anxiety, couple specific remedies, the general categories you want to consider. And then, just I would close here on a general note that, a lot of people with anxiety, diet stuff is very important, especially a lot of protein for breakfast. One of my teachers, Todd Caldecott, says his main remedy for anxiety is lamb stew for breakfast. Just giving people a really hearty meal first thing in the morning, a lot of protein. You ask people with anxiety, well, what do you eat for breakfast? And sometimes they're like, well, I don't really eat breakfast. I just drink a quad shot latte. And it's like, well, no wonder you're anxious, right? Your body needs nourishment, and then you're flooding your whole system with a stimulant alkaloid, right, through caffeine. Or eating really sugary foods for breakfast. Carbohydrates are really, for people with anxiety, a carbohydrate dense breakfast is really not ideal. It's very important for people to have a very solid, very nourishing, protein dense breakfast. And then people with intolerances to food. Anxiety can be a major symptom of people with food intolerance. So those are some other just bigger, I guess, lifestyle factors to consider when addressing people with anxiety in general. So hopefully that helps you out, Beth. Thanks for the good question there.